$100 silver for real. Guys, things are changing massively right now in the world. The LBMA and the COMEX are finding themselves increasingly cornered. We're going to cover that in this video. Yes, $100 silver minimum, $50 silver right now. We're also going to take a look at what's going to happen through the end of this year, through Christmas, through the new year, as we head into 2025. What are the experts saying we have to expect when it comes to the silver and gold price? We'll listen to what they say and we will form our own opinions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the basement. When you're down here with me, with our group of people, we're like a tribe. We love to talk about silver and gold. We love to talk about the reasons, right? Not just, oh, because we love it, in which we do, but the reasons why we have made a decision to love silver and gold, to use it as an insurance policy. Please subscribe to the channel. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps get the word out to more people. And super chat, super thanks, never expected, but always super appreciated. So if you heard of this guy, Andrew Maguire, he's like one of the gurus. He's out of the United Kingdom. He knows the inner workings of the silver and gold markets like anybody. I was listening to him. He's talking about $50 new all-time highs for silver, possibly early next year. He mentioned that some of the gurus are even talking about $100 silver. Now, I didn't hear a time frame on that one, but I think it's safe to assume that it could be within the next few years. How's that making you feel on a festive holiday Saturday morning, my fellow basement dwellers? Don't worry, I'll call you Buttercup here in a little bit. So, yes, the LBMA and the COMEX are finding themselves increasingly cornered. Okay, the paper manipulation of the silver and gold price, which has gone on now for almost 50 years, it's coming to an end. Things are changing, okay? The PBOC, you know what the PBOC is? PBOC, the People's Bank of China. They recently made this major change on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They lowered like the threshold limits for the amount of money basically that people would need to be able to trade silver and gold on the PBOC. And it was kind of a news story, but Andrew Maguire is pointing out that this is actually quite likely a cataclysmic event for the silver and gold markets. Let's just review quickly what the news was, and then we'll talk about the implications that it will have on the silver and gold price as we go through the end of the year. Our good friend, the Oriental Ghost, had this post on Twitter. It said the direct purpose of this new Chinese regulation is to increase the activity of silver trading, attract more small and medium-sized investors, and enhance the liquidity and convenience of the trading. The key question is why the Shanghai Gold Exchange issued this new regulation at this time. Eric Yuang, and he was retweeting something from King Kong 9888 saying, wow, it looks like the Shanghai Gold Exchange is lowering its, quote, execution threshold in kilograms of its physical silver contracts across the board by almost 14%. It looks to me that the physical silver supply might shrink drastically at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And then here's the proclamation that they put out. We won't read through all that because that would be really boring. But basically, guys, what they're doing is allowing more small and mid-sized investors to come into and trade silver on the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And the Shanghai Gold Exchange, besides always having a higher physical silver price, is a physical market. And that is so critical for us to understand when we talk about what's transforming in our world right now when it comes to silver and as we track the silver price. Because in China, if you want to trade silver, you have to have the physical metal. Now, I don't know for sure that it's 100%, and I'm not a guru in that area, but I do know that it basically is a fact that the Shanghai Gold Exchange is a physical market, not like the United States. Here, let's go see how physical our market is we'll just run out here quickly to the U.S. debt clock and head on over and see what the paper to silver ratio is. And it's hovering and been hovering for the longest time, somewhere around 410. That means for each 1 ounce of actual physical metal that's held by the LBMA and the COMEX, maybe just the COMEX, nonetheless, for each 1 ounce, there's 400 paper ounces traded. That is the exact opposite at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. And the Chinese are making big major news. Oh, here, while we're here, look, the dollar to silver ratio now is at 1,040. Yes, 1,000 paper unicorn fart dust fiat US dollars are being created via the M2 money supply, right? 1,040 of them are being created dollars for each 1 ounce of silver, which is being mined right now. That was a little sideshow. Let's get back to China because this is big news. Andrew Maguire is making this out, and I believe him 100% to be a major change. The Chinese, the BRICS countries, they have not stopped. Okay, it's kind of faded from our radar, right? Remember 3 months ago, all you heard about were BRICS and the big BRICS meeting in October and blah. None of that has stopped. Okay, this is happening right now in real time, right before our very eyes. And the fact that the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, changed the regulations at the Shanghai Gold Exchange to encourage more small and medium-sized investors to come in is a big deal. And Andrew Maguire pointed this out. That fact is not at all factored into the current silver price. Let's go take a look at the current silver price, make sure it hasn't changed on us. We'll go out here to channel sponsor PIMBEX, PIMBEX, fun to spell, fun to say, even more fun if you're buying silver, gold, or platinum groups metals online to save a lot of money. All right, give yourself that opportunity. Get the same exact silver, gold, platinum group products you can get at any of the other big online bullion dealers, but to get them for a better price at PIMBEX. More metal for your money, right? And it's a company that I trust, I worked with before they sponsored the channel. I can tell you overwhelmingly positive response from the basement dweller community, and they always have a great selection. They got pretty much everything. You know, none of these big online bullion dealers are all going to have the exact same stuff, but PIMBEX has it all, and it's always at what I would say is ultra competitive pricing. Check it out for yourself. Okay, if you want to save some money when you get your box in the mail with your silver or gold in it, if you want it to weigh a little more because you got more metal for your money, do yourself a favor and check out PIMBEX. Okay, so silver, $30.70 per ounce. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Do you believe it? Silver right now should be $50 per ounce, right? What we've dealt with is 50 years of price manipulation. And guys, it is coming to an end. It is a big deal, okay? And it's this is the big thing. This is one of the big takeaways. Right now, these rules that are changing on the Shanghai Gold Exchange, that is not factored in to the current silver price. That's why we went out to PIMBEX to check the price. I lost my train of thought. I apologize. You know what it's like to get a little older? I'm 54. Nonetheless, right? That is not factored into this current silver price. That is a big deal. You can call me a silver pumper. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I know that $30.70 for silver is not the real price. Why do we know that? Well, because like we just looked at, that's the COMEX and the LBMA price, right? And we know that there's 400 paper ounces. Think about this. 400 paper, make-believe, non-existent. See, this is COMEX silver. You can grab yourself a Bitcoin. You can grab yourself a COMEX ounce of silver, right? It's fantasy land. Okay. I didn't mean to throw Bitcoin under the bus there. I apologize. Nonetheless, we'll just focus on silver, right? This is COMEX. Grab yourself some. Grab all you want, right? Grab here. You know what? Here. This is great. Maybe you happen to have one of these laying around. That is an American Silver Eagle. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that. Huh? Yeah, it's heavy. Okay. Grab one of these, and for each one of these that you have, you can grab 400 electronic paper make-believe COMEX. I'm still counting. Okay, ounces of silver. That's why we know that is $30 is not the real price for this. Okay. There's a massive number. Oh, this is crazy. These small and medium-sized firms, which will now be able to participate in the Shanghai Gold Exchange, silver market, gold market. There's like 50 million of these firms. 50 million and growing. Okay, this is a big deal. They are sucking what they're doing, right? Because the LBMA and the COMEX are finding themselves cornered at this point, right? The paper make-believe price that they've held down for 30 years. What they're doing is they're going to suck all the silver, all the gold from the West at these artificially low prices, and then, right, real, true price discovery will occur. We've heard Vladimir Putin himself say it a year and a half ago. He was like, the West is living in this make-believe fantasy land when it comes to pricing real things, real commodities. And you know the Chinese feel the exact same way. Now there's people speculating again that like there's increased threat that we're going to potentially have some type of conflict with China. I don't know. Again, speculation. Nobody knows for sure, but we do know that China is sucking up. Wait till you hear that we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the big guru predictions, what they're saying just in the next 4 weeks, 6 weeks for the silver and gold price. Okay. And as a special bonus added feature, I'm going to tell you about the world's now largest gold discovery that's ever been made, right? The biggest gold discovery, and you're never going to guess where it is. Never. You'll never guess where it is. Okay. Everything. And the other thing to remember, what's going on with China in the Shanghai Gold Exchange, in this shift, right? This cornering, they're cornered. Those poor boy, don't we feel bad for those traders that trade the electronic paper silver at the COMEX and the LBMA? Do you feel some empathy for them? I bet you do, right? Because we got to remember something very critical. Okay. And there's a big reason why we want to realize this is that everything that's going on in China with the Shanghai Gold Exchange is backed by their central bank, by the PBOC, the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, and they are powerful. Guys, this is the biggest economy in the world, according to the IMF, if not the biggest, the second biggest economy in the world, right? And remember, right, in China, if you're a businessman, you need silver. They're manufacturing everything right now. This is happening in real time right before our very eyes. And they're not going to, nobody's in China wants to invest in real estate. Nobody really wants to invest in the stock market. They don't really trust the banks. They want silver and gold, not just for industrial purposes, but also for wealth protection. Because guess what? And I think this is critical, right? As we're in all this crypto Bitcoin fur, or what's the word? Mania, feels like. I'll just say it. Who knows? Maybe we'll go check. Bitcoin maybe 100,000, which is bizarre. Nonetheless, in China, cryptocurrencies are illegal. You can't do anything. If you get caught as a Chinese citizen with cryptocurrency, you're in big, big trouble. And before I forget, I really apologize to you guys. I've been forgetting. So many of us, this is a daily tradition that we would go out and check on the silver price at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Now, the only reason I emphasize the high is because the silver price is always higher at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. I won't do it again, but there we are. Let's click on this. Our friend, the Oriental Ghost, provides this data on a daily basis. This was the closing prices Friday, November 29th. And here is silver. Make sure I got you on the right screen here, boys and girls. There we go. We're back. Okay, there's silver, AG, on that. What is that called? The periodic table? I don't know. I never really enjoyed chemistry in high school. And I don't think I even had to take it in college. I studied accounting. But anyway, the periodic table, AG, that is silver. AU is gold. You very likely knew that already. There's the Shanghai Gold Exchange. Oh, looky. Here's U.S. dollar price in the physical market. $32.91. That's very interesting, because if we go back to our friends at Pimbex, they've got a big sale going on. They say silver's $30.70. What is that? $2.20 less. I believe that's almost 7% higher in China for silver. We don't know how spoiled we are in the West. You are spoiled rotten. Did your mom and dad ever say that to you? Mom, I'm not saying mine did. We are spoiled. We are all spoiled rotten. Richie Rich, welcome to the club. Thank you, Frank. Always higher is physical arbitrage points east. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Frank. All the silver and likely all the gold eventually, or a lot of the gold, the available is getting sucked to the east. I mean, I'm telling you guys, be careful. Okay? I mean, I've had it happen a couple of times, like a big vacuum hose comes in through the basement window. I don't keep a lot of silver at the house, just enough to kind of use for, explanatory purposes. You got to do this. Is that Jingle Bells? No, that's two American Silver Eagles clanking on each other. Here, you got to be careful. I got a warning for you. Hold on. This is our three, back when a smoke was a smoke, right? Those are three U.S. silver dollars, one Morgan and two peace dollars. Is that Jingle Bells? No, that's the sound of real money, because I'm telling you, they are sucking all the available physical from the West to the East. I've even heard, whenever it's speculation, I tell you speculation, that a lot of the silver, because a lot of Americans were actually selling silver over the last, 3-4 months. I've heard speculation that a lot of that silver that those weak-handed silver investors were selling for $33, $34 an ounce was being melted down and shipped to China, shipped to the East. I mean, India's even worse. Okay, back to this. Okay, okay, they will suck it all. Yep, I already said that. Remember, okay, cryptos are illegal in China. Okay, oh, this is interesting. And Andrew McGuire brought this up as well. That's live from the vault. You can watch it yourself. It's kind of like the halfway point on. But he said the wealthy people, back in 2010, the Chinese government started to encourage the wealthy people to buy gold and physical silver. Now we know, and this happened last year, the Chinese government began to encourage the average people to buy gold and silver. And we had reports on the ground, people in China telling us, like just a few months ago, that the Chinese government was telling the citizens, encouraging the citizens to now buy physical silver. Guys, it is happening. It's a one-way trip. This is a one-way trip. The COMEX and the LBMA are going to break, right? Just because for the last 50 years, they've had a stranglehold on the gold and silver price doesn't mean it's going to last forever. And when we listen to the experts, when we listen to a guy like Andrew McGuire, who I think knows the inner workings of the worldwide silver and gold market better than anybody, and he's talking about, he said $50 silver, and unless I'm mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I'm 99% sure I'm right, $50 silver could be happening as soon as the first quarter of next year. And then if you really factor in, if you really strip out all the paper, all the electronic silver, all the unicorn fart dust, all the COMEX and LBMA manipulation, if you really strip all that out and would let fair market forces determine the value, the price of silver and gold, that we would likely be closer to $100. Now, let's go for a little fun trip here, guys, because when we're talking about China, it's interesting as well. The Chinese people, they do not export any gold whatsoever. And look at this. Look at this headline. This is from MSN. The world's largest gold deposit found. World's largest gold deposit found, worth over 80 billion US dollars. But get a load of this, okay? A deposit of high quality, here, let me highlight this for us. A deposit of high quality gold ore containing around 1,000 metric tons or 1,100 US tons of gold has been discovered in, imagine that, central China. According to Chinese state media, valued at approximately $83 billion, the discovery could be considered the largest and most lucrative reservoir, losing my voice, reservoir of gold ever uncovered. Yes, you heard that right. Ever uncovered, surpassing the 900 metric tons estimated to lie within the mother of all gold reserves, the South Deep mine in South Africa. Now, let's do a little mathematics here, basement dwellers. We're talking about 1,000 metric tons. We'll just compare that to, and we'll be on the conservative side, to what the United States supposedly has in Fort Knox, which is, 8,000 tons, if I'm correct. That's 1/8. China just announced they found at least the equivalent of 1/8 of what the United States government supposedly, we trust our government. We trust our government. They would never lie to us. But that's 1/8 of the gold that is supposedly held at Fort Knox. 1/8 is what? Like 14%, 13%? That's a lot of gold. That is not going to leave China. Okay? Think about it. Because a few people were all worried. They're emailing me saying, oh my God, China found all this gold. It's going to make the gold price go down. No, China's not going to let one stinking ounce, 1 gram, which is about 1/30th of an ounce, out of the country. It's all going to stay in China. China is accumulating gold. We also know that the Chinese government recently, secretly, right? There's very smart people who've basically proven that the Chinese central government, central bank, is again buying gold. Guys, this is happening. It's very interesting. And some of this gold here, we'll just look at this. We're not geologists, but we'll act like geologists for a few minutes, because some of this gold they found in this deposit it's mind-numbing. Okay, hold on here. Here, core samples suggest every metric ton of ore contains as much as 138 grams, nearly 5 ounces of gold. That's an extraordinary level of quality, considering ore excavated from underground mines is considered to be high grade if it contains more than 8 grams. So they're saying they have 138 grams per ton, which is incredibly high, because in the West, we consider anything over just 8 grams to be super, super high quality. It continues to get more and more interesting. What are the gurus saying about the gold and silver price as we head into the end of the year? You want to hear what they're saying? Niels, our good friend over at Niels Christensen over at Kitco. I can't really call him a good friend. I feel like he's a friend. I always like Niels, but he's got some information from a number of analysts. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. We just don't sit around talking about rainbows and unicorns and all that good stuff. We're going to do that next. Let's have a quick sip of coffee. Then I got to tell you the story about this. See that? That's 13 ounces of silver. Right? Yeah. Right? 13 ounces of silver. Okay. You're going to be blown away by this story. It has to do with my sister. You know what it's like around the holidays. My lovely sister, Nene, who I love so much, my lovely older sister. But big predictions, big updates. Let's get to it right now. Let's dig in and see where we're going to go through the end of the year. This is a great article, another literary masterpiece from our friend Niels Christensen at Kitco. He says gold price will be volatile. Buckle up, Buttercup. And I think this, I'm not, look, I believe in $50 silver, $100 silver. It is going to happen, undoubtedly. But volatility will rule the day. It will be a rough ride to get there. The bull market for gold and silver, gold getting to 3,000. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, Andrew McGuire said that too. He thought that we could have $3,000 gold, again, unless I misheard him, during the first quarter or early 2025. Nonetheless, the bull market will try to buck as many people off as possible. That's called volatility. Envision like a bull rider, right? The bull is jumping up and down. That's like the price of gold and silver. It will jump up and down. It will try to throw as many people off as possible. Earlier last week, right? It did just that. Listen to this. Then holiday trading in red continued to support gold prices on Friday as investors navigated significant volatility driven by shifting geopolitical sentiment. In gold, the gold market started the week with a dramatic 3% drop. Hold on here. Can you guys see this better if I do this? Hold on. Let me try something. Okay, let me see how this works. I don't know. Hold on. I apologize. Basement dwellers. We're going to get this set up. There we go. Okay. The gold market was a lot of drama mama this week. Gold, right? A 3% drop on Monday after President-elect Donald Trump nominated Scott Bessent. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because Scott Bessent is a gold bug. Scott Bessent 3 weeks ago explicitly stated that gold is one of his biggest positions, one of his biggest investments. Scott Bessent is a billionaire. Scott Bessent said he watches gold very closely. Scott Bessent said he was fascinated by the fact that Poland, for instance, is going to increase their gold reserves up to 20%. So yeah, that did not make any sense. And we've talked about that exhaustively. Let's go to the purple. A potential ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon, but I thought that was broken, announced at the start of the week, also eased geopolitical fears in blue. However, gold gained a fresh safe haven bid the following day after Trump threatened Mexico and Canada with 25% tariffs and a proposed 10% tariff on all products from China. I think that was an additional 10% on top of 25% for China, but I could be wrong on that. Chantel Sheevan, she's the head of research at Capital Light, said she expects the gold market to experience some volatility in the near term as the markets continue to react to Trump's comments ahead of his inauguration. Guys, it is going to be absolutely crazy for the next 6 months. Okay? I could be dead wrong, but we are going to have volatility. We are going to have, right? And this is not a political statement because I think where my political support lies. So I'm not saying this in a negative way. However, President Trump is going to be, look, if we look at his last presidency, if we look at his life in general, not putting him down, he's a guy that just goes with it, baby. And it's going to create, it's not this staunch conservative, but everything's calculated and blah, blah. No, he'll just like throw it out there. That is going to create a lot of uncertainty and a lot of volatility in the markets, including gold and silver. But I know, no doubt in my mind, that the net effect of all of that will be higher precious metals prices. Hey, Silver Sparky, and I don't know you find all this info. Well, I spend a lot of time. I got a big head. That's what they call it in college. They called me Big Head Ron. Thank you, Sparky, for the super chat. Silver Sparky, you got to love that. I think this guy's a silver fan. Good to see you, my friend. You know what? We had another. Let's bring up Frank too. Frank Cavagia. That sounds like a guy with a name I don't want to mess with. Thank you, Frank, for your super chat also. All right, back to Niels. Here we go. And Niels said, okay, right now, here's Chantel Sheevan said, quote, second orange paragraph. Make sure I got you guys on the right screen. We're all over the place today. Okay, here we go. Right now, we are in a wait-and-see mode, and markets will be extremely sensitive as we just don't know what the new administration will look like. She said, we don't know how much of his comments are just bluster or how hard he will push to implement his policies. In the short term, Chantel said, gold prices could remain range-bound between $2,500 and $2,750. While this may frustrate some investors and traders, she emphasized that this consolidation period will be healthy for the gold market. Guys, we talk about this all the time, right? We talked about it on Monday when it was gloom and doom. It was the end of the world as we knew it. It felt like everything, gold got down to what, 2,600, 25 something? Anyway, it's normal. Okay. Look, I wish I had saved them, but I didn't. If you look at it like a 10-year chart of either gold or silver, let's just say between 2001 and 2011, just so you know, between 2001 and 2011, the price of silver, for example, went from under $5 all the way to 50, 5 to 50 in a 10-year period. That also coincided with the bear market and the DXY index. We'll leave that for later in the week to talk about. But nonetheless, when it went from 5 to 50, hold on here. When it went from 5 to 50, we're going to draw all over Niels for a second. Hold on here. I'm getting my crayons out. It did not look like this. It did not go from 5 to 50 like that. No. Okay. It did not. It went like what I'm going to color for you here in green. It went like this. Okay. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Like, I think we had like a 14% correction in silver from $30 down, or 35 down to 30, right? During that period, when silver went from 5 to 50, we had like 10 or 12 corrections that were 10%, 12%, 15%, or even higher. Okay. So it's normal. Sorry, I got off on I don't think that Chantel's last paragraph, I don't think we should be too concerned with this volatility. Gold is still up significantly and holding its own. I think this will be a healthy consolidation because, yeah, we get rid of the wimps. We get rid of the people that aren't the true believers. I don't like to use the term diamond hands. We'll call ourselves silver hands, right? Like strong holders, gold hands, strong holders. In red, although the gold market is ending the week on a positive note, some analysts believe Monday's sell-off might indicate that the path of least resistance is lower. You guys want to hear the bad news? In gold, or yellow, gold prices have certainly seen some recovery this week as news of stubborn inflation has pushed investors back into the arena. That's from Naeem Aslam from Zayi Capital Markets. But we think it's possible that prices could move a bit lower still as the current correction isn't over yet. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I kind of got that feeling. My feelings are usually right, but oftentimes wrong, that we could be in for a little bit of a bumpy ride here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we get $44 silver by Christmas, for instance, but it feels like we're in a little bumpy periods. Alex, let's see what the green guy said here. In green, Alex Kupacek, chief market analyst at FX Pro, said that while bearish traders currently dominate gold's price action, the market remains relatively resilient. On the downside, he pointed out that $25.40 per ounce is a key level to watch, and a break below that could bring 2,400. Man, that doesn't seem possible, but we all know everything is possible. However, he noted that gold has managed to hold solid support above 2,600. The slow but steady rally from Tuesday to Friday, right after the sky was falling on Monday, suggests cautious buying, indicating continued interest even at current historical high levels. A weekly and monthly close above 2,670 could signal further gains. marking a return to territory above the 50-day moving average. All right, now we got to talk about the big news. Next week is a big news week for the silver price and the gold price. We'll get to that in the yellow here in 1 second. In addition to Trump's social media posts, markets will focus on critical economic data next week. This past week, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, the core PCE index, showed that consumer prices were rising 2.8% over the last 12 months, coming in hotter than expected. It's time for me to give you the inflation speech. Inflation is up. The Fed has given up their fight on inflation. The Fed knows they can't fight inflation because if they want to fight inflation, they're going to destroy the economy. The Fed is in a box. Jerome Powell and the Fed are in a box. What they do one thing, they get a negative outcome. They do the other thing, they get a negative outcome. They are going to take the least painful route, which will be they will put the nails to the average American. They will inflate away the debt. That's all they can do. That's all they've ever done. That's all they'll continue to do. How can an organization like the Federal Reserve that has a stated objective to steal 2% of your money per year when we know that the real number is actually much higher, right? How could we expect them to really, really want to fight inflation? They're not going to fight inflation. Now, we've talked about this many times on this channel. We went through a little weird period for the last 2-3 years, right? Where if inflation was up, that was bad for the gold price. And nobody understood, right? Nobody understood. And the reason why nobody understood is because over long periods of time, that's what gold and silver do. They protect you from inflation. They protect you from the devaluation of the currency, which is the same thing as inflation, okay? But during that little period where we had higher inflation and the Fed using its last gasp effort to control inflation by raising interest rates, everything was flipped upside down. Well, guess what? Everything's back to normal now. We're in a new paradigm, which is actually the real true and real paradigm, where when we now, in the coming months, quarters, and years, hear about and live, like you're going to live it, I'm going to live it. We're going to live higher inflation. We're going to get gasoline. I think it's like $3 a gallon. We hardly ever drive. That's one benefit from working from your basement. Anyway, I think it's like $3. If you're paying $3 a gallon for gasoline right now, you mark my word, in 2 years, you're going to be paying $5. Okay. Bread, whatever, $2 a loaf right now. In 3 years, it's going to be double. Okay. We are going to have inflation. That's all they can do. And that's the reality. Sorry, I got off on a tangent there. Let's finish up this article from our friend Niels at Kitco. And let's talk about what's happening next week, okay? According to some economists, this is the biggest news in the history of the universe. We'll get it Friday of next week for silver and gold, because according to some economists, next week's, make sure we're on the right page here. Yes, we are. Next week's employment data could significantly impact these expectations. Persistent strength in the U.S. labor market could push rate cuts off the table for next month. No. Okay. And that's not Neil saying that. He's just reporting what the economists are saying. Additionally, the market will be watching key manufacturing and service sector data. So next week, guys, this is what's going to move the markets, right? Thanks, Niels, for your great information. Monday, ISM manufacturing PMI. Tuesday, U.S. JOLTS job openings. Wednesday, we'll get the ADP employment data, which is like a precursor to the big report on Friday. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell to participate in a moderated discussion at the New York Times Deal Book Summit. Ooh, that'll be a fun one to watch. Thursday, we'll have weekly jobless claims. And on Friday, the big behemoth of them all, we will get U.S. non-farm payrolls report. That will tell us. And remember, you know, that number is always wrong, and they will come back and modify the previous 2 months' numbers and say, sorry, we got that wrong. But nonetheless, that will have a major impact because of this. Let me show you why. Because of this. We'll go to the CME FedWatch tool, In this, my friends, this is the CME group. Just go into Google. You can do this for yourself. Put in CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, FedWatch tool. This tells us the target rate probabilities for the 18th of December, which will be what, 2 weeks from a Wednesday or Thursday of this coming week. Right now, we've got 66% chance that they're going to cut and a 34% chance that they're going to leave rates the way they are. So what that article is telling us is that if the jobs number comes in incredibly great, right? Wouldn't that be a great way for Bidenomics to finish out their economic career? Look, we created 15 million jobs, right? Temporary jobs and, whatever. But nonetheless, that if that's the case, we're probably going to see this over here. See down here, it says 450 to 475. That's where we currently are, 450 to 475. If we get a good jobs number, okay, what we're going to see is this go up, and we'll see this go down. All right, the odds of a rate cut, all right, this is 4.25. All right, a 0.25% cut. The odds of that would go down. That could spell a little bit of trouble for the gold. But let's talk about the positive as well. If we get bad numbers, and who knows what Trump can do this week, we could definitely see if this number goes up to 66% and the odds of it staying the same go down, that would be very, very, very supportive for the gold price and the silver price. Let's run out here. This is a great one. Hold on, guys. Hold on. You can watch me struggle. Hopefully we're still live. Oh my gosh. Yes, we are still live. Excuse me. Okay. You know what? I'll do that later. We got some really great comments from, oh, wow. Hey, Cliff. Thank you, Cliff Moberg. I just saw you gave us a super chat. Good to see you, Cliff. Good to see all you basement dwellers. Remember, guys, we are a community. We are family, right? We are. We love and what we share in common, right? We're all related, I think, to one degree or another. But nonetheless, on top of that, what we share in common is a love of the precious metals and a love of thinking. You guys are smart, man. I'm telling you, the average person on this channel, and I look at the analytics that YouTube and Google, I can tell you a few things. Number one, there's about an 85% chance that you're a man, right? 15% chance that you're a woman. Women are always welcome to join us, and there's a growing number of women in the stacking community. But you guys are also very smart, because I can tell you, according to Google and YouTube, advertisers, and I don't get to choose which ads you guys get to watch, okay? But the advertisers that choose to advertise on this channel are like high-end advertisers that appeal to people who are a little smarter than the average bear. So congratulations. You are a little smarter than the average bear. You know what? Bear with me. Speaking of bears, I need to pull up I don't think I have it here. Hold on. No, darn it. Oh, shoot, guys. Hold on here. We're having some technical problems. Hold on. I have 3 great comments. Let me see if I can do this while we're live. Think of something happy. Have a drink of coffee. I need to pull this up. It'll take just about 10 more seconds. Da-da-da-da. Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young. Okay, we're almost there. And bingo. All right. We had some unbelievably, it was like 3 in a row, super smart comments from you guys. And I want to read these. It's still processing. There it is. All right. Thank you for your patience with me. Uh-oh. Hold on, Frank. I need to get rid of you. Frank, there we go. Not get rid of you, but you know what I'm saying. Okay. These were 3 great comments from the basement dweller community. Okay. First, Peter said, talking about the economy, I think everyone is going to say, screw it, and overcharge their credit cards one last time for Christmas. Then the pain will come. Worse than 1929, worse than 2008. I kind of agree with what Peter's saying. I don't know that we're going to have a 1929 style depression out of it all, but we looked at data from when we look at like the fact that unemployment is going up. That usually happens right before a major recession. When we look at the yield curve inversion, and then the coming out of that usually where we are historically almost 100% of the time shows that we're heading into a recession or a depression per se. And then with the Fed funds rate, if you look at the history of when the Fed starts to lower rates, typically right after the Fed starts to lower rates, we also go into a recession. So yes, thank you, Peter. The next comment, this was like a trifecta. 1, 2, 3. Could the slingshot move be applied the other way, meaning gold prices plunge and silver price remains the same? So what Doe Matthew, hold on here, is talking about, and we'll come back, is we're talking about a slingshot move in silver, meaning the gold price has gone so high, it's kind of pulled silver with it, okay? But silver really, because this gold to silver ratio is so extended, there's so much pent up energy there that when silver does move, people are calling for a slingshot move. So what he was saying is, what if gold went down? Like, let's say gold goes to, I don't know, $2,200, but silver still has its move. Could silver price remain the same? Absolutely. I actually think that would be the case, that if we did have a little mini correction in the gold price, let's say gold goes to 2,200, that silver will hang tight and hang where it is. So great comment. We got one more, and then I'm going to tell you about the $400 pen. Here he goes. This is from our friend Nate. Great Nate. Hey, it's Great Nate. Nate the Great. Speaking for those of us who are ready for silver to soar, this was funny, so that's why we're sharing it. We should each write an intelligent and super nice message to Elon Musk, asking him to please buy all the physical silver. Done. He needs it anyway. He should get it now. He's being inhibited somehow. Yeah, we hear stories that we know what's going on with Elon Musk and the new presidential administration, but we've also heard stories over the last year that Elon Musk was maybe investing, if I remember this correctly, into like a silver mine. Thank you, Tara. Love for this family. Thank you, Tara. Wow, $20 super chat. All the super chats, super appreciated. But that Elon Musk was investing, and I forget the name of it. It was like 6 months ago, into a silver mine in Mexico. So yeah, I mean, the silver, I agree with you, right? It'd be great if Elon Musk made some big public moves about silver, but you know what? We don't need that to happen, right? We don't need that to happen for silver to go much, much higher. Andrew McGuire, just looking at the current worldwide silver market dynamics, on a high level, the COMEX, the LBMA, the Shanghai Gold Exchange is saying that we are going into new territory, and quickly, right? Where the physical market is going to overtake the paper derivative unicorn fart dust silver, right? That's traded at 400 to 1, 400 to 1. So yes, Elon Musk would be great, but do we really need it? We know the situation with the silver deficit and everything else. Okay. So it's going to be an interesting ride. Anyway, Rick Rule says, and I'd love this. This will send shivers down your spine. Okay. I was rattled the first time I heard this, but it made sense. I'll never forget when I heard Rick Rule say, guys, my fellow basement dwellers, buttercups, all you guys, right? We don't need silver to be loved. As a matter of fact, right now, especially in the United States, silver is almost hated, you could say. We don't need it to be loved for it to do well. We just need it to be a little less hated, right? And we've maybe seen a very, very, very small fragment of that occur. But when it really happens on a larger scale, that's when we're going to see the silver price really take off. I promised you a $400 pen. This pen, I was looking at it this morning. was given to me by my sister when I graduated from college. It's a Mont Blanc Monsterstock ballpoint pen. I never lost it. I use it every day. Okay, I buy refills for it. 400. Well, she paid 100 in 1992. Okay, this is going to has to do everything to do with silver. So I went out and found it on Amazon because I thought, I wonder what it would cost to get a new one right now. And this is what I found right here. Here it is. You can see, I put a link to this in the description of the video. A Mont Blanc Meisterstruck black ballpoint pen, $410. Okay, my sister paid 100. I remember, and she actually, I texted her this morning, said, "I still have your pen." I love my sister; she's great. Anyway, she said, "Yeah, I paid $100 for it." I said, "Yeah, they're $400 now." So I was thinking about silver, and I went and did some research. And in 1992, when Nene bought me this, her name's Renee, but I call her Nene, bought me this pen for $100. The silver price was $4 an ounce. Look it up for yourself, okay? So I thought she could have either bought me this $100 pen, or she could have bought me 25 ounces of silver, right? 25 ounces of silver, $4 per ounce would have been $100, right? She could have bought a bunch of this. Hold on. This is not 25 ounces, but you know what I'm saying, right? A bunch of this stuff, 25 of those, or one of these. I thought, which one is more valuable now? Because I'm like, the pen really went up in value, cost $400. You know what? She would have been better off with the silver, because 25, right? Yeah, she could have bought me 25. What's 25 times 30? 8, right? So that's 800. It's $850, right? Isn't it? Oh, 750. 25. Hold on. I'll do it here. I have a degree in accounting. I'm challenged. 25 ounces times $30 an ounce, $750. So if she, instead, now I'm kind of mad at her, Nene. Instead of buying me this $100 pen back in 1992, she could have bought me 25 ounces of silver, okay, which today I could go sell for $750, and then I could buy the $400 pen and still have $350 and buy myself 10 more ounces of silver. So silver does hold its value. Okay. Now I got to be honest with you, because then I started laughing. I'm like, here's the other. This is my other pen that I use. This one I leave on my desk. This one I use over here. This is a very rare, hardly anyone in the world has these. It's a spam ballpoint pen. Okay. So you think I'm full of, you know what? Well, that's where it comes from, out of the spam pen. Okay. This is a crypto pen. All right, guys. I think that's it. Let's wrap it up for now. I may come on later tonight. I got to watch the girls. Susie's got to go take care of her mom, but thank you for being here. Thanks for being part of the basement. I'm in St. Louis. We're getting snow right now, so I might have to get the snowblower going. Anyway, have a great day. Thank you to the moderators, Jake from Jake's Custom Parts, the one and only Annie Oakley, and Big Tim the Silvershire, but in particular, thank you. Remember, you are the most important part of this community. It doesn't happen without you. If you give this a thumbs up, that does help get the word out to more people. Guys, have a great day. Okay, I know life is not easy for anybody, but, you know, sometimes just trying to keep a good attitude. Sometimes for me, I find if I don't think about myself so much, which can be difficult because I'm not very important, but I'm all I think about. If I try to think about what Susie needs or the kids need or my parents or whatever, it makes life a little easier. It's kind of a paradox. The less I think of myself, the better I do. But you didn't ask for psychological advice, so I'm going to sign off for now. You're here for gold and silver, and you are appreciated. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.